Tomorrow.
Hi, Miss Lewis. How are you?
Good. You got me today.
Excellent.
Miss Grace is zooming. So your reset date is the 13th of March. And they already made an announcement on one of the positions is reset to tomorrow's calendar. And that's position number that's Duncan. I'm about to tell you position number it is. Position number 4 is it's not gonna be coming out.
Okay, so the date set until one, a 3-1.
Correct. I said 329. I mean 229 earlier. I was like, oops, that's wrong. This is the last day of the month.
It is. Guess we'll get started as soon as courtroom 2 gets on with us. Missed you yesterday, Miss Allen. Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Happy Friday.
You as well.
What happened with Miss Russell yesterday? I'm dying to know.
The mother agreed to take her back in on the same terms that we had proposed earlier in the week. So we were able to, so hopefully it'll work.
She's gonna be 18 soon, right?
Appears so.
And maybe
Yes.
two peas in a
November.
pod.
Yeah, November. The ways off.
Miss Ragland, we don't have a Lindsay Cheeley. I don't see a Lindsay Cheeley on my calendar.
That's the victim, Judge.
Oh,
And the
okay.
victim is a minor. The case is associated with Miss Henderson, Gabrielle Henderson.
Okay, thank you.
She has 2 cases and they're dealing with minors. And she's the mother of the minor.
Thank you.
Mhm.
ACDC, do you have anyone there that we can take?
I'm sorry, Judge, I was muted. Good afternoon. How you doing? I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well. Happy Friday.
I have to be here tomorrow, so but
Well,
happy Friday for
you can
everyone
still
else.
Well, you can still have a happy Friday.
That's true. You're right. But I do have two positions over here, Judge. Whenever you're ready to start, I'm ready.
Okay, let's go ahead and start. Good afternoon, ladies. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We're providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you choose to utilize their service. Who do we have first?
Position number one, Ms. Davis.
Good afternoon, Ms. Davis. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001048C with 2 counts of simple assault. Afternoon, Mr. Howard. Is there a history?
Hey, second adult arrest, 2024 terrorist threats and obstruction. Defendant's homeless.
Yes, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This defendant is 18. She does have juvenile history. That is an aggravated assault case from 2022. And I'm only mentioning that because this is a violent incident as well. On the 25th of February, police respond to 6150 Tucker Lane. There, they met with the victim in this case, or one of multiple victims, honestly, Mrs. Pittman. She is here on the Zoom. Her first name is Kwawana. She made a police report that she's got 3 grandchildren in her home that she cares for. The oldest is 20, although he's an adult with some special needs. That day, he asked her if a friend of his could come stay with them, that they had just been released from defects custody. Ms. Pittman reported that she told her grandson, his first name is Makari, no, that he didn't have the ability to allow people to come stay in her home. And shortly thereafter, a vehicle arrived in the driveway, and the defendant in front of you exited that vehicle with bags of belongings and came onto the porch. She asked about staying there. Mrs. Pittman asked her what her intentions were. She also asked her grandson to come and have a conversation as well. The defendant in front of you said that the grandson, through social media, I believe, had told her she could come stay for a few days. Grandma explained that's not really how things work, and expressed that she was concerned about contact through social media and this kind of assumption, I guess, being made that you could show up at someone's house with all your belongings. The defendant was upset. She said she'd just taken an Uber from an hour away. Grandmother left her 20-year-old on the porch for a moment to have a conversation with this young woman, and she heard a commotion. She stepped back outside and she saw that her grandson had been shoved to the floor by the defendant. He fell backwards as a result of being shoved. She said she questioned the defendant why she would assault someone who's an adult with special needs. The defendant said she didn't realize this young man had special needs when they were communicating on Instagram, and she asked if she could come stay there. The defendant then started to swing at Ms. Pittman, and her 2 other grandchildren, who were juveniles, came outside and had to assist with getting her off the porch. She refused to leave the porch. And basically did not understand why she wasn't going to just be allowed to come enter into these people's home. So there's some concerns about judgment. She used vulgar language. She tried to assault the victim, Mrs. Pittman, who's a 55-year-old grandma with 3 children, or 2 children and an adult in her home, who simply wanted to understand what was going on and was asking someone to leave, which is her right. I would note that the address for the defendant is Hampton, Georgia. And again, she is 18 years old. We did speak to Mrs. Hampton today. She again reiterated that she does not know this young woman, that the young woman continued to argue with her, continued to be aggressive, in spite of the information that she was being shared, that this was not something she was going to be allowed to do, that she wasn't welcome to come stay in their home. She would like no contact. And Your Honor, I'm asking for a $2,000 surety, no contact, and to stay away from that location, and no contact with Mr. Makari Pittman, as well as the victim, Kawana Pittman. And if you'd sound for Mrs. Pittman, she's here.
Ms. Pittman, if you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. If you would, I need for you to unmute yourself, and I'll have to swear you in.
Okay.
Yes,
Hello,
ma'am.
how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, Ms. Pittman. If you can raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can place your hand down, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
It's fine. I just want to make sure when y'all release her that she gets some type of help or some type of assistance because she really needs some help. And I was really concerned, even though I had to call the police, I would, I have kids and I have grandkids and I'm really concerned about her well-being.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for being here this afternoon. We appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. No problem.
Mr. Chataya?
Yes, Your Honor, just asking for the most reasonable surety bond for her case. My client is 18. She's working towards a GED is my understanding. She also has strong ties to the community. She tells me that she is a lifelong resident of Georgia. And I also went over the public safety assessment and I did not see a history. There were no FTAs nor convictions of any kind. Given her lack of criminal history, and that she has no FTAs and her ties to Georgia, I asked for the lowest surety amount and the possibility of a signature bond.
Okay, you said she has strong ties to the community. Does she have a place to live?
She tells me that she lives with a foster parent. I don't have details on her address. We didn't discuss that, but she tells me she's a lifelong resident of Georgia and that she has a foster parent. And she also gave me that foster parent's number.
Okay, have you attempted to get in touch with the foster parent?
I haven't attempted to, Your Honor, no.
Okay, what is the foster parent's name?
My client tells me it's Peace. I think spelling should be P-E-A-C-E. I didn't get a last name though.
Okay, I'm not gonna, she's gonna have to be released to someone, Mr. Chataya. So I'm happy to. Defect. Okay. Ms. Lewis is telling me that defects might be involved in this also. So I'm gonna need for you to contact defects to see if they are involved. I'm gonna need for you to keep attempting to contact this individual piece. I'll reconsider this if she doesn't bond out on Monday, if you would like me to. If that'll give you enough time to see if we can find her some type of placement. So at the present time, it'll be a $500 good bond per charge, makes for a total of $1,000 good bond. Stay away from the Tucker Lane address. Okay. Someone's gonna have to mute for me. I'm getting some feedback. That might be you, Ms. Pittman. You can mute your phone for me, please. No further contact with the alleged victims. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. I'll reconsider that. Let's place her back, Ms. Lewis, on the Monday calendar. If you would like for me to reconsider that, if you can reach defects or if you can reach someone else that's going to co-sign for her to get out, okay? Ms. Davis, I see you have your hand up there. Mr. Chataya will call you after court today for you to discuss anything with him if you need to give him some further information.
Can I please have some?
No, Ms. Davis, I don't want you to get yourself into any more trouble. You have a right to remain silent. Well, I think that you're sitting in jail, so you must be in some type of trouble. So, all right.
Like, ain't nobody pushing.
Okay, so we understand each other, Mr. Chataya?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll reach out to DFAX and Peace.
Okay, and if you find out something sooner than that, you can email me and Miss Allen if you like, so that if you wanted to discuss prior to Monday, I'm happy to do that. If you find out something before that time, okay?
All right.
All right, thank you. Who do we have next?
I'm sorry, can you repeat, Ms. Davis's, bond?
I can $500 per charge. Good bond makes for a total of $1,000 good bond.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to finish up there at ACDC first so that I can let them go or not?
Yeah, that'll work, yep, you good.
Okay.
This is gonna be position number 7, Freeman.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Freeman. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001045C with theft by taking. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
2019 theft dismissed.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon, Ms. McConkey.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Ms. Freeman is also position 6, which is also a theft by taking.
Thank you.
Your Honor, both of these incidents happened at the same incident location, Altitude Luxury Apartments located at 250 Piedmont Avenue Northeast in Atlanta. Position 6 happened February 22nd, 2025. In that case, the victim is LaCourtney Farrell. The defendant is accused of stealing the victim's mattress out of the apartment complex's mailing room. Position 7 happened January 20th, 2025. The victim in that case is Adesiri Balfour. In that case, the defendant is accused of stealing the victim's Amazon package, again, out of the mailroom of the apartment complex. In both instances, the defendant was seen on camera taking those packages. The state's recommendation for both cases, given her history, is a signature bond, that she have no further contact with the victims, LaCourtney Farrell and Adesiri Balfour, and that she stay away from that apartment complex, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. The key fob that she used to enter the mailroom was to a unit 1615. The person who lives in that unit is a male. It does not appear that the defendant is on the lease for that unit.
Okay. Any objection to any of that, Mr. Chataya?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, for each charge, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. She's to stay away from the Altitude Apartments. No further contact in position 6 with Mr. Farrell. No contact in position 7 with Ms. Balfour. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. So for each charge, it's a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. All right, good luck to you, Ms. Freeman.
Thank you, Judge. Also, just to confirm, I was told Trinity Henry has case has been dismissed and OD.
That
Yes,
is correct.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
See you next time. Have a good weekend.
You too, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who do we have in courtroom 1?
I'm sorry, Judge. She has a question real quick. Good afternoon. Go ahead and talk about it. Good afternoon. I've lived at the complex. There is a
Okay.
package room. I have proof of every order that she said that I still have proof that I have an order and it was delivered in my name. I have been
Ms. Freeman, discuss that with Mr. Chataya. You're going to be able to litigate this matter down the road. But for now, I will allow you a one-time escort to retrieve any belongings that you have. But you cannot go back until this is resolved to that Altitude Apartments. That's been my ruling. So I'll give you a one-time police escort to retrieve any belongings. And as far as anything else goes, you'll be able to litigate that further down the line. I've given you a signature bond, so you'll be able to get out.
okay, thank you.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. See you next time. Thank you. Who do we have next?
So we got position number 2, Mr. Zier.
Yes, good afternoon. And just to everyone there, I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We're providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you choose to utilize their service. You have been charged, ma'am, in case 25 CR 001040J with theft by receiving stolen property. It's my understanding that this is her second arrest and she has a bench warrant out of Judge Besson's court. Anything further, Mr. Howard?
The 2023 FTA.
Okay, yes, thank you. Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. The victim in this case is Mr. Adam Nowak. On July 19th of 2024, the victim came back to his vehicle and noticed that the door wasn't closed all the way and the car appeared to have been rummaged through. He noted that his black computer bag, which contained his laptop and the cord, were missing, along with his wallet, which had his ID and also his insurance card. He ended up finding the bag after looking around the area, but his wallet and laptop were not there. They were still missing. Officers were able to lift some fingerprints from the side door and also the back door. On July 25th, 2024, the defendant went to Jerry's pawn shop located at 21 Decatur Street in Atlanta and pawned the stolen laptop for money. The state's recommendation, given her 2 FTAs, is a $500 surety bond, that she stay away from 21 Decatur Street in Atlanta, which is the location of the pawn shop. We would also ask that she stay away from 827 Brook Ridge Drive, Northeast Atlanta. That is the incident location of the alleged theft. We would ask that she have no further contact with Adam Nowak, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. And I would just ask the court to sound for Mr. Nowak.
Opportunity. Do you know what the bond is for the FTA, or was for the FTA, Ms. McConkey, and if that was something that went through pretrial previous?
I will take a look, Your Honor.
And what that charge was for me, please. Thank you.
$1,000 surety,
Say it again?
$1,000 surety, that's what it has on their 3 card here at the jail.
Okay, thank you. Mr.
It was a
Chitaya?
shoplifting.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. I asked the court to consider the possibility of a signature bond given that my client is 23. She has been a Georgia resident for the past 15 years. She got to school as far as the 11th grade, and she tells me she's currently working on GED. And although she currently doesn't have a job, most recently she worked in housekeeping. She did that for 4 to 5 years. And she also worked in car detailing for 2 years alongside that. So with those factors in mind, I asked the court to consider a signature bond.
Okay, it will be a $500 good bond. Stay away from 21 Decatur Street. Stay away from 827 Brookwood Drive. No further contact with Mr. Nowak. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Next, we have position number 3, Ms. Duncan.
Good afternoon, Ms. Duncan. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001041A with hit and run and improper erratic lane change. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
5th arrest. Open case out of Carroll County for fleeing an officer. Open case out of Alabama for DUI. 2025 FTA. 2016 suspended license conviction. That's it.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened July 21st of 2024. The defendant is accused of sideswiping on Kendra Jackson and failing to stop at the scene of the accident. The defendant was driving a Chevrolet Equinox at the time with Georgia tag SFR 9422. The victim was able to take photos at the time of the accident. The victim also did identify the defendant as the person who hit her car when presented with a photograph of her by the officer. The state's recommendation for Ms. Duncan is a $500 surety bond. no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Okay. Is this your case, Mr. Chataya?
Yes, Your Honor. As with the last case, for this case, I also ask the court to consider a signature bond. My client's 29. She has been a Georgia resident almost her whole life. She resides in Douglasville. She has an associate's degree in nursing, and she's very industrious. She's worked as a manager at a Wendy's for the past 7 years. And lastly, she has 2 children at home that she provides for. They are 9 and 7 years of age. For those reasons, I ask the court to consider a signature bond.
Okay. For each charge, it'll be a $250 good bond, makes for a total of a $500 good bond. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Duncan.
Yeah, position number 8, Ms. Harper.
Good afternoon, Ms. Harper. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001046G with battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
The 9th arrest. She got open battery DV in Douglas County, open DUI in Cobb. The open battery in Fulton is 23 CR 008014G. I think that's your bond. That's a pretrial bond, I know that, but I think it's your bond, I want to say.
Okay.
I'll look it up. But that's it.
Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident happened on the 11th of January, 2025. I have the incident location is 577 Carlton Drive in Palmetto, Georgia. The victim in this case is Kathy Feaster, who is the mother of the father of the defendant's children. The defendant is accused of striking the victim multiple times, causing a large knot and bruising to her forehead. The victim's son, Mr. Stanley Feaster, told officers that the defendant had asked him to pay for her hospital bill for an injury to her foot. When Mr. Feaster said no, the defendant became angry, and shortly after he heard a commotion coming from his mother's room. And when he went out to go see what was going on, he saw the defendant on top of his mother striking her. The victim in this case does suffer from dementia. So when officers were trying to ask her what happened, she did have some difficulty explaining. But at one point, she did make a fist with her hand and she started tapping her forehead to indicate that she had been assaulted. Mr. Feaster, the victim's son, told officers that there have been several altercations in the past between his mother and the defendant. Our office has spoken with Mr. Feaster. He stated that he and the defendant share 2 children. They no longer live together. He does have legal custody of those children, that the location was his residence and he was allowing the defendant to live there. She has since left the residence since this incident. He did confirm the events in the warrant, confirmed his mother has dementia, and of course is not able to really articulate what happened. He did state that his mother lives between his residence and his sister's residence in Lozella, Georgia, and his mom is currently living with his sister as a result of this accident. He also states that sometimes the defendant will come over to the residence to pick up and drop off the children, but he does want the defendant to have no further contact with his mother. The state's recommendation based on the facts of this case and the defendant's history, which does involve numerous open cases, including cases involving previous violence, is a $3,500 surety bond. No further contact with this victim. Stay away from that incident location as the victim does go back and forth between that location. That she undergo an FVIP or at the very least some anger awareness. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. I would ask the court to sound for the victim's children, Mr. Stanley Feaster, and also I've been informed that Ms. Stephanie T., who I see on the Zoom, is the victim's daughter.
Okay. Ms. McConkey, the open case, is that with different alleged victims?
So some of the open cases are the open case out of Douglasville, and there's an open case for DUI out of Cobb, so I'm not able to see who those victims are at this time, but I am looking up the open case that she has from 2023 in our system.
Okay. If either Mr. Feaster or Miss Stephanie T wish to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. You of course don't have to, but if you'd like to, I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down, ma'am. Tell me your last name.
Thornton,
Yes, Miss-
Thornton.
Yes, Miss Thornton. What would you like to tell the court?
I'm the sister of Stan. He's the owner of the home where it occurred. I'm the daughter of Kathy. My mom is 69 years old. She has dementia, and she maintains a room in both my house and my brother's house, and we split her care. On the night of the 11th, my husband received a call from my brother, and I got on the phone with my brother, and he told me that my mom had been injured. He said that Kaylee was mad at him, and he locked himself inside his room, and that Kaylee asked him how he would feel if she did something to his mother. He heard her go to my mother's room and started to hear a scuffle. He left his room to break it up, and Kaylee fled after he called the police. My mom had a large bump protruding from her forehead, and so we had an ambulance take her to Wells Star Cobb emergency room. I drove up there. When I arrived at the emergency room, the staff questioned me about what caused my mom's injuries because she didn't know what had happened to her. The emergency room did a CT scan and determined that she had mild concussion and released her. I took her back home with me. And the next day, a large circular bruise appeared on her arm. So I took a picture of that. And on Tuesday, January 14th, I texted that picture to Detective Michael West to add to the case file. I also asked him about whether or not the assault against my mom would be prosecuted as a felony given her other battery charge from Douglas County. And then also whether or not there were going to be any elder abuse charges because Kaylee knew that my mom was 69 and that she had dementia when she sought her out with the intent to attack her.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. We appreciate you being here this afternoon.
And Judge Morrow, that other case that she has, it did involve Mr. Stanley Feaster, who again is the victim's son. She was also ordered to stay away from that incident location, so she is in violation of that bond. She was also ordered to have 1 day anger awareness, surrender all weapons. That was a $5,000 pretrial bond, level 1. Given what Ms. Stephanie has just told us, it is likely that other charges will be added to Ms. Harper's case.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Your Honor. Kaylee Harper is from Georgia all her life. She's 38 years old. She has high school education, and that was from Douglas County. She's worked for 3.5 years at HelloFresh, and she would like to ask the court. She's aware of everything going on, keeping up with the cases. She'll be going to the trial on those. And she asked the court to consider a signature bond, and if not, then a $1,000 surety bond.
Okay, well, I've already given her a signature bond previously. And normally when I judge the amount that I give, 5,000 would be high for me. So to see her back in front of me by violating that bond and going back to that incident location concerns me. I'm certainly not going to go the other way on a bond. So the previous bond that I gave her will be withdrawn. And this bond is going to be a $5,000 good bond. Another stay away. If she goes back to that location, the bond's only going to increase as time goes on if she goes back. No further contact with Miss Cassidy Feaster. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Harper. Who do we have next? Whenever you're ready for us, courtroom 1.
Hey, Judge, can you hear us?
Now I can.
All right, can you repeat that bond one more time? I'm sorry, we had technical difficulties.
Okay, no problem. It's a $5,000 good bond.
Okay. All right, next we have position number 14, Ms. Shelton. Please. Come on.
Good afternoon, Ms. Shelton. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001039H with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
51. Open financial transaction card fraud out of Superior Court. 2024 ag assault. It was amended to reckless conduct conviction. 2023 probation. 2021 felonious assault. 2021 vandalism and felonious assault. 2016 robbery and a theft conviction. 2013 parole violation. 2013 criminal damage to property, theft by receiving, forgery conviction. 09 burglary conviction.
Ms. Allen?
This is a bind over case out of Union City. On the 24th, the defendant was found to be at Walmart there, 4735 State Route 138. Police met with loss prevention, who reported that the defendant had been shoplifting there previously and had previously been criminally trespassed from the location. This is a single count of criminal trespass, and I'm guessing it was because the officers wanted to be nice. Shoplifting would have been a felony, Your Honor. The defendant was taken into custody on the 24th and taken to Grady after she told officers that she had swallowed cocaine and fentanyl. She was released a day later and taken into custody. The 2023 shoplifting conviction out of Fulton County, 23 CR 004734A, is actually from the same location. And there is an open financial transaction card fraud case out of Superior Court from December of 2023. She's also got a aggravated assault that was pled down to a reckless conduct, 24 SC 002702. So we're asking for a $2,000 surety in order to stay away from the Walmart there. In Union City, 4735 State Route 138, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. We'd also ask for a social worker visit.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, thank you. We will be doing a social worker visit. She wasn't feeling well and concerned about her health, but she did want to attend court. I tried to talk her out of just going to sick call or the health department in the jail, I'll put it that way. But she is here. So she is 46 years old, been in Georgia several years. She is a high school graduate. She's got welding skills. She's on SSI disability. And I'd like to ask the court to consider, if not a signature bond, of course, we'd like to ask for a signature bond, but if that's not in the offing, then a $1,000 surety.
Okay, it will be a $500 good bond. Social worker visit to assess for BHET. Stay away from the Walmart on State Route 38. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next, we have position number 10, Ms. Hernandez.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hernandez. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001050F for simple battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Second, 2014 shoplifting dismissed.
Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. These are two cases out of the schools, police initially, and then APD. The incidents here took place in November and December, were ultimately investigated by school, police, and then followed up with APD and reported, or warrants were obtained at the same time, if that makes sense. In position number 10, the incident date is December the 13th of 2024. It's reported by staff at the school, as well as the mother of a juvenile victim. Juvenile's initials are LC. That during a class in the school, this juvenile, a 9-year-old, Your Honor, that goes to Kipps Drive School, that's the elementary school, at 1444 Lucille Avenue Southwest. The defendant in front of you, acting as a 3rd grade teacher at the time, became upset when this 9-year-old was seen looking at nail videos on YouTube rather than doing the schoolwork they were supposed to be doing. The defendant demanded the laptop or tablet that the child was using. And when the child did not relinquish it, the defendant in front of you put the child in a chokehold. She later complained of pain in her neck, and she reported this incident to her mother and school. We're asking for a $2,000 SOB bond, Your Honor, through pretrial because of the lack of a criminal history, but we are asking for absolutely no contact, and we'd ask for a few days of anger management. We understand that the defendant is no longer employed at that school, so I do not think a stay-away order is necessary. She is alleged to have put her forearm, to come up from behind this child and put her forearm around the neck of this young woman when she physically removed the electronic device from the child. In position number 11, another child. This is an incident from November the 13th of 2024, so a month prior, when police at the school and the school were notified about the December incident that you just heard about. They informed the family that they were already looking into a prior issue, and that's this issue, Your Honor. On the 13th of November, another child, 8-year-old, with initials XC, reported that they'd been injured by the defendant. It was revealed that while that child was being disciplined, he threw a pencil. An 8-year-old, not developmentally inappropriate behavior for an 8-year-old. He was being disciplined, and the defendant in front of you came into the classroom to help. And when he tried to get away from her, she grabbed him by his clothing and shoved him to the ground. He fell on his back and complained of pain to his tailbone. Again, we're asking for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial, no contact, anger management. We did speak to the moms of both of these young children. They are in agreement with no contact. They have joined us on Zoom. Mrs. Bullard is the mother of the child in position number 11, the 8-year-old, initials XC. She reported that her child would come home complaining about the defendant, but that this was the first time she'd heard about the defendant being physical with her child. Mrs. Ragland is the mother of the child in position number 10 with the initials LC. She also said that her daughter would come home complaining about the behavior and treatment by this defendant. If you'd sound for the moms, Mrs. Ragland is position 10 again, and Mrs. Bullard is position 11. Thank you.
If either Ms. Ragland or Ms. Bullard would like to address the court, now is your opportunity. You certainly don't have to, but if you would like to, I'll need for you to unmute yourself, come on camera, and I'll have to swear you in. Would either of you like to address the court? Thank you for being here, Ms. Ragland. Okay. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Your Honor. No objection to the signature bond. Recommendation. We don't feel that anger management is necessary, but that's certainly within the discretion of the court. Court is well aware of presumption of innocence, and at the same time, the court sometimes does offer does require counseling in certain areas. So we would ask the court to give the signature bonds.
Okay. For position 10, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with the 9-year-old juvenile, stay away from the Lucille Avenue address, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. For position number 11, will also be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with the 8-year-old juvenile, stay away from that school on Lucille Avenue, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Hernandez. Who do we have next?
We have position number 5, Mr. Edness, Tony Edness.
Okay,
And Your Honor, when proceeding with Mr. Edness, I just asked that the court read the initials of the charge and not the full name. And if possible, maybe consider waiving reading of the facts.
okay, would you like me to hold Mr. Edness for last so we can go off the YouTube?
Yes.
Okay, given the nature of the charge, can we hold him until last, please?
Position number 9, Mr. Harris.
Good afternoon, Mr. Harris. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001047F with expired or no registration, improper erratic lane change, reckless driving, driving on the wrong side of the roadway, aggressive driving, and disorderly conduct. It's my understanding that this is Mr. Harris's first arrest. Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. An officer was conducting a traffic stop on the defendant after he observed him switching multiple lanes without using any turn signals and also making a left turn from the incorrect lane. After writing the defendant's citations, the officer attempted to explain the citation to the defendant when the defendant began acting erratically and initially refused to take the citations and sign them. Eventually, he did take the citations, but then proceeded to refuse to give the officer his pen back after he signed the citations. The officer told him to have a good day and walked back to his patrol car. The defendant exited his vehicle, ran up to the driver's side of the officer's car, and began yelling and acting irate. The officer proceeded to drive around him, and the defendant threw an object at the officer's vehicle. The object did strike the vehicle, but it didn't cause any damage. The defendant then began to follow the officer, swerving in and out of traffic while honking his horn, driving on the wrong side of the road, and almost causing an accident during the process of all of this. At one point, the defendant swerved into the officer's lane in an attempt to run him off the road. The officer called for backup. A second traffic stop was conducted, at which time the defendant was taken into custody. Given that this is his first arrest, we would recommend a signature bond, but we would absolutely recommend that he undergo some days of anger awareness or maybe even a BHET. I'm not sure if his behavior was caused by his anger or if there's something else going on here. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Mr. Chataya?
No objection to the state's recommendations.
Okay. For the registration, a $250, these will all be signature bonds through the jail. For the improper erratic lane change, a $250 signature bond through the jail. Reckless driving, $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Wrong side of the road, $250 signature bond through the jail. Aggressive driving, $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Disorderly conduct, $250 signature bond through the jail. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. 1-day anger awareness. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Harris.
Next we'll go with position number 12, Mr. Mallory.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mallory. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001038J with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
2023 possession of marijuana conviction.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from February the 27th. So yesterday at about 2 p.m., police were called to 1607 Hasty Place Northwest. There they spoke with the victim. Her name is Olevy Gettridge, and that's spelled Olevey, first name. She reported that she lives at the same location with the defendant. Her husband is also there, as well as her children. The defendant became upset when he assumed that her child had removed some of his clothing out of the common room washing machine. When he realized he was wrong about his accusation, he came to apologize to her. She told him she didn't accept his apology, that there'd been prior violence between the defendant and arguments with this woman's husband at the location. This upset the defendant, who then punched her in the face. She had a large contusion or bruise on the right side of her face, seen by police. When the defendant was questioned by police, he said that he was upset, he tried to apologize, and that he just accidentally struck her face with his hand as he was walking by her. He was taken into custody. We spoke with Mrs. Gettridge today. She said that, again, her husband has been in arguments with the defendant in the past, but this is the first time he's been physically abusive. She does not feel safe around him. We're asking for no contact. He'll need a one-time escort to get his things. We're asking for a $2,000 surety bond, Your Honor. No contact with Mrs. Gettridge or anyone else in her family, and to stay away from 1607 Hasty Place Northwest. Thank you.
Ms. Gettridge, I see you there on the line. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. If so, you'll need to activate your camera, unmute yourself, and I'll have to swear you in. It doesn't appear that she wishes to address the court this afternoon. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Your Honor. Tobias Mallory is 31 years old. He's from Georgia. He has a high school education and some college as well. He does have that old, not really old, but the marijuana conviction is there, and he acknowledges that. He is unemployed at the moment and looking for, he has a temporary employment agency that will be able to get him work. So there won't be any problem with that. And court dates, he will find another place to stay if necessary. And he asks the court to consider a signature bond, Your Honor.
Okay. It will be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Ms. Gettridge or her family, stay away from the Hasty Place address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Mallory.
So much, Your Honor.
Next, we'll go with position number 13, Mr. Perry.
I'm doing well. Good afternoon, Mr. Perry. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001049C with 2 counts of battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Got over 20. I see 2 bench warrants. 2023 probation, 2023 FTA, 2022 simple battery DV, 2019, 2016, 2015 FTA, 09 battery conviction.
Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defendant was picked up on warrants from May of this year. This is an incident from the 26th of May, 2024. At 10:15 p.m., police were called to 714 Yale Place, Southwest. The victim in this case, her name is Kiana Brown, Kiyyona. She reported at the time that she was a roommate with the defendant, that the defendant was the renter of the location and she was subleasing a room. He came home and wanted to engage with her intimately, and she denied that request. He became angry.
Judge, you got feedback.
She described him as intoxicated and that he made threats to her. He shouted at her because she declined his advances. She exited the location and he followed her into the driveway where he approached her and she fell against his vehicle. That's when he shoved her to the ground from behind, causing abrasions to her knees and her ankle, and then he punched her in the eye, and she had obvious bruising to the left side of her face around her eye. We did get in touch with Mrs. Brown today. She reported that she and the defendant are still roommates at the same location, and that she feels badly about what happened, that nothing has happened since, and that she's not in fear. Your Honor, I would note, based on the facts of the warrant involving a intimate contact and a denial of request for intimate contact, our conversation with the victim today was interesting. The phone number we eventually reached her on was actually the phone number of the defendant's, and she told us that we could reach her at his phone number moving forward. This defendant has a simple battery family violence conviction from 2021 that was told. His probation was told because he has not done anything requested, and a shoplifting conviction. So he's got two probation violation matters that are pending. 22 CR 005174Y is a simple battery family violence involving a different female victim. They very similar set of facts. He was ordered to complete family violence intervention programming as part of that, and obviously report to probation, and he just never did. He does have a conviction for pimping out of this jurisdiction, 14 CR 012382. And I only mention that, Your Honor, because the facts of this case, along with the facts of the battery in 22 CR, raise a red flag for someone who may be particularly vulnerable. To have the victim that you punched in the face, who made a report about you, be the person who answers your phone and reports that you can call them anytime on that number, is a little concerning for the state, Your Honor. Based on that information, we're asking for a $4,000 surety, absolutely no contact with the victim in this case, and to stay away for wherever she may live. And if that is 714 Yale Place Southwest, then he'll need a one-time escort, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And if he's reset, he needs to be reset with those two probation violation matters, or at least just noted together. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Your Honor. Actually, Mr. Perry does say that he has had substantial compliance, not necessarily the technical term, but he has had substantial compliance with the small s on some of the classes he was supposed to take. And he hopes to address that very soon. He has a bad disc. He has a doctor's appointment on March the 4th or 6th. Or a doctor's appointment to see about scheduling the surgery soon. So he's very concerned about that, of course. He's been in 22 years, graduated Roosevelt High School in Roosevelt, New York, but he's been here for over 2 decades. He's got 3 years of college with Norfolk State University in Norfolk, Virginia. He was studying accounting. He's worked for many years, 22 years, the whole time he's been in Georgia, it looks like, for a company which does tax liens, essentially, financial matters, and he's a contractor with them, not an employee. He would like to ask the court to consider a signature bond in this matter. I'm looking at the date of it, but the probation matters he'll have to see about as well, and so he was asking for any assistance in scheduling that ASAP. Thank you. We'd ask for a signature bond if possible, and if not, a $1,000 or $2,000 surety bond.
Okay, it will be a $2,000 good bond per charge, makes for a total of a $4,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Brown. Stay away from her residential address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. If he does need a one-time escort to somewhere that she is residing, I'll allow him a one-time police escort. Good luck to you, Mr. Perry.
Can somebody please check the, I'm sorry, these addresses, you residents, y'all just saying stay away from residents, but I don't have no numbers and nothing, what you're complying to. I can put in the order to be correct. So this person, is he supposed to, she's supposed to stay away from 714 or just wherever she resides at?
What question?
I thought that
I'm
was-
not sure. I'm not sure where she resides. I know that the 714 Yale place was what, in the warrant, Miss Allen?
Yes, and that was the May address, May 2024. And when we spoke with her today, she says that she still lives there with this defendant and she answers his phone. He called his phone. It looks like they had a conversation in the jail. They're clearly still living together.
Okay, so I guess it's the 714 address, Miss Lewis. Your client has his hand up, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, any questions he has, I would prefer to answer them by phone as soon as court's over with. If the deputies could keep them around, I'm available through my cell phone.
I can answer my question. Excuse me, Your Honor. That address, 714 Yale Place, is my address. I am the leaseholder. I've been there for a year. I just renewed my lease. She's only been there for 5-6 months. So I don't understand how I can leave my residence and she stays there. I pay the bills there. She doesn't even work. And secondly, the telephone conversation in my phone, I left my phone with a friend of mine there so I can contact him. When I got arrested, I left my phone with him. All right, I didn't leave my phone with her. So she was just able to use the phone because a friend of mine is there, a friend of mine from Virginia, one of the colleges, he's there. He was working with me and he had my phone. So that's why he had that. That's why she had access to my phone and no other reason. That is my phone.
Okay, so hold on, Mr. Perry. So if you've allowed her to stay there and she's still staying there, then she is, regardless of whether you're the leaseholder, she's properly there. So if she moves someplace else, then you can go back to that residence. But as long as she's there, you cannot go back there. Okay?
Who's going to pay the bills there? Because I'm the only one who pays the rent there because she doesn't work. So I'm gonna lose my so she can stay there. It doesn't kind of make sense. Because I pay bills.
Discuss that with Mr. McLean. If you come up with a solution, Mr. McLean, the court is happy to address it in a modification. Okay?
Certainly. Thank you.
Next, we have position number 15, Mr. Wheeler.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wheeler. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001051A with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Ninth arrest, 2016 battery DV, crew 10 to 3rd dismissed. 2015 simple battery DV NOLO. 2010 and 2008 probation.
Your Honor, this is an incident from yesterday, February the 27th at about 1:50 in the morning. Police were called to 1065 Beacon Hill Crossing in Alpharetta. That's a rental residence, freestanding home. Outside of the property is a clearly marked sign, no trespassing, private property. Police met with the property manager, Mrs. Joyce, who reported that the defendant had made entry into the location through the door to the left of the front, or through the window, excuse me, to the left side of the door, that no one other than the current tenant has permission to be at that location. He had made entry into the location through that window and put his belongings inside with an intention to stay. She did note that there'd been a previous incident where the defendant had entered the location on February the 9th and had taken the house key and the garage opener. The defendant on scene claimed that he had just purchased the property but could provide no documentation or any actual information to corroborate that. And he was found to be in possession of the key that they believe he stole when he was there on February the 9th. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor, to stay away from 1065 Beacon Hill, have no contact with Mrs. Joyce, Sabrina Joyce, who's the property manager, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, he will find another place, and he has a place to live. I believe it's Harbor Landing in Roswell. So he is 20 plus years in Georgia. He's 37, so that means he's been here since he was a teenager. He has HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning training. He has attended the Interactive College of Technology to get his skills there in the air conditioning and heating business. And he works on that type of equipment and installs it. He would ask the court to consider a signature bond, and if not a signature bond, then a $1,000 surety.
Okay, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Miss Joyce. Stay away from the Beacon Hill address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck, Mr. Wheeler. You're welcome. And I guess we could go back to Mr. Edness now. And if we can go off of the YouTube, please.